Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So today we're going to be going over a very headache-inducing situation. So if you're on Twitter and you have anything to do with anime or manga, I'm sure the algorithm has promoted this Dexerto tweet to you at some point over the past day. This tweet has gone viral with 140,000 likes, over 17 million views, and in this, they are claiming that Texas senators have unanimously passed a bill that, if signed into law, could make several games, anime, and manga series illegal to own in the state. The bill bans any obscene depiction of a minor or someone who looks like one. So they're trying to give the impression here that this bill will make it so any content that has a character under 18 who is sexualized will now be banned in Texas. It will be illegal to consume that material, which would outright ban a lot of anime and manga, everything from My Dress Up Darling to even Dragon Ball, and also would outlaw a lot of video games and cartoons as well, like South Park, Family Guy, stuff like that would now be illegal because of their content. Now, of course, this caused a ton of fear-mongering on social media. People are weaponizing this, they're politicizing it, and it's become a huge source of contention and toxicity. And the problem is, it's actually a giant nothing burger because Dexerto made a clickbait headline and they're trying to mislead you so they can get more traffic on their website. And I think it's very obvious. If you actually do the research on what's going on with this bill, you'll understand that it is not trying to criminalize the type of fictional content we're talking about here with anime, manga, and cartoons. And this is a very drastic misinterpretation of what's going on here, and it's causing a ton of misinformation and toxicity on Twitter. Yeah, who's surprised by that? But before we get into the details of this whole thing, I gotta do the transition of a lifetime here to AdvancedGG, because after all, it's still St. Patrick's Day today, and to celebrate, I have a new drop with a limited edition label and ice shaker. And if you use code REV at checkout, you'll get 30% off your total order. So what's in this drop? Well, we have this flavor jar with my character on it. It is another focus jar, very delicious flavor. Rev's Sour Rainbow Candy. As always, this gives you a nice boost of focus without any crash or jitters. We also brought back this ice shaker and the art with it from last St. Patrick's Day. You can see it here in green or also in black. And we also have some of the other items on my shop you can check out. But as always, make sure you use the link in the pinned comment and Rev at checkout to get 30% off your order. And one more thing I want to mention, really two things. If you spend over $20 on that new drop, you also get a round of flavor sticks to go with it to try out some new flavors. And also, there is a competition among creators at AdvancedGG right now where the creator to earn the first bag of advanced clear whey isolate protein will be able to share that with their community if they have the most placed orders. So if we have the most placed orders in the near future here, our community will be the first one to try out the clear whey isolate protein powder, which is a really cool thing and something I would love to share with you guys. So if you want to support this goal and the St. Patrick's Day drop, make sure you use that link in the description and in the pinned comment and use code REV at checkout to save 30% off your total order. So let's get back to the content here. This is the Dexerto headline. New Texas bill could make incredibly popular anime and video games illegal. They cite this down here through, I think they meant through, typo of course. Senate Bill 20 is structured in a way that mainly points it at the usage of AI software to create this type of material. Cartoon or animation are also specified. Some of the most popular anime, manga, and games of all time contain these sorts of depictions. Depending on how Texan lawmakers feel about a certain series, there's a good chance many of the most popular anime and manga series ever could be affected. So there was a ton of hysteria based on just this alone. A lot of people are believing, oh my god, this law, if it goes into effect, is going to ban all of this anime and manga. And the sources provided by Dexerto here includes this basically newsprint here from the governor's office talking about the issue with AI and how they want to combat it when it's using children in its algorithms, which is obviously something that should be criminalized. It's exploiting children by putting them through these systems and trying to sexualize those images or create something that is sexualized. Obviously, that is something that should be criminalized, and this is actually on its face a very good pursuit for them to go after and to outlaw. And this is the actual amendment here that people like Dexerto are passing around. Now, understand, this is an addition to an existing statute. This is not replacing or canceling anything. It's adding on to an existing statute. Please keep that in mind. But the language that's getting everybody upset is right here in this subsection B. A person commits an offense if the person knowingly possesses, accesses with intent to view, or promotes obscene visual material containing a depiction that appears to be of a child younger than 18 years of age engaging in activities described by that previous section, regardless of whether the depiction is an image of an actual child, a cartoon or animation, or an image using an artificial intelligence application or other computer software. So, obviously this is the AI part at the end. That's pretty straightforward, but people are getting tripped up on this language here about the actual child, a cartoon, or animation. Now, we're going to get a lot of clarity on what this actually means and how this bill and statute separates fiction and reality. But first, let's get into the reactions to this, because people saw this headline, and even if they looked at the sources provided by Dexerto there, they genuinely believed this is going to outlaw anime and manga in Texas in many different forms. And people use this to politicize it, even though the bill was passed unanimously by both Democrats and Republicans, so it wasn't any sort of a political thing, but people try to make it that way. But also people were weaponizing this to get an own on people online. And the ironic part is, of course, there was infinite cell phones, people trying to weaponize this to attack someone else, while failing to realize it would outlaw their favorite anime and manga. So let's see some examples of that. So this person down here says, with 41,000 likes, 9/11 for lolicons, it's a great day to be alive, while sporting a black clover profile picture, which under this interpretation of the bill would be illegal in Texas. This right here is an incredible cell phone with, let's see here, 110,000 likes. So this person says, life when lolicons start being arrested like any other pedophile. So this person fails to realize that they post this with a GIF coming from Bleach while rocking a One Piece profile picture, while also listing various anime they're a fan of and they dedicate their Twitter presence to, including anime like Chainsaw Man. All of these things that I just listed would be illegal under this interpretation of the bill. This person basically would be dedicating their entire online presence to something they believe is criminally considered CP. Like, this is an incredible cell phone on levels you normally don't see, but for some reason this topic just absolutely rots people's brains. Here's another example, someone going after Chibi Review, saying he's mad that now he's going to go to prison because of his lolly collection. I can't make this shit up. And people pointed out, the same person who just said that admitted that they fully watched Gushing Over Magical Girls, one of the biggest lolicon anime to come out in years. In fact, they went a step further to say they watched the uncensored version too, which basically is just lolicon hentai. And this guy is now trying to use this to weaponize his beef with someone else. Again, incredible cell phones. But going back to this article, obviously, people trying to use it and use Dexerto's interpretation however they see fit. Unfortunately for them, I guess, this is not what's going on with this bill. So if you look at the actual article here, they talk about how this is basically using obscenity law to try to determine what type of content produced online and being shared online is going to be actually considered illegal, right? And they describe this one section. If you actually use the sources provided here, you will see, right, that amendment we looked at earlier in the section that everyone's so concerned about. What does this mean? It's so open-ended. What does it mean? Well, we know what it means. If you go to the actual statute this is amending, unless they're going to outright say or change their minds later, we know exactly what they're talking about. So when it comes to these obscenity angles here that this bill is using, here's 3 cases where it's actually going to end up considering something illegal. So you're engaging in one of these things. 1, a child younger than 18 years of age at the time the image of the child was made. So like this is pictures, physical pictures or digital pictures of an actual child. Obviously illegal. But what we're really talking about here for this conversation is 2 and 3. So number 2, an image that to a reasonable person would be virtually indistinguishable. Let me read that again. Virtually indistinguishable from the image of a child younger than 18 years of age. This is not something that is new. This was often used as a standard for deepfakes. They're basically saying if you hold up the picture in question next to a picture of a real person, you wouldn't be able to tell which one is real and which one is fake. That is largely aimed at deepfakes, and I think rightfully so. And because if you're using a child in this case as a deepfake for some obscene material, of course that should be illegal. I mean, that is by definition CP because you're exploiting a real child. So that's really what it's going for there. So that doesn't have anything to do with anime. There's no anime or manga that's virtually indistinguishable from a real person unless you're schizophrenic. So that's why they add a reasonable person. So now we go to 3. An image created, adapted, or modified to be the image of an identifiable child. I think this is more leaning into AI, or at least they're going to use this to get people on AI, right? So they say an identifiable child. So the product or the image or whatever that's being produced has an identifiable child in it, okay? And you go, what's an identifiable child? Again, it's right here. They tell you. In this section, identifiable child means a person recognizable as an actual person by the person's face, likeness, or other distinguishing characteristic, such as a unique birthmark or other recognizable features. So yes, this is pretty much making it very clear what we're talking about with all of these amendments that are now being reported on by Dexerto. So you have to have an actual child. They use the word actual child, an identifiable one. And up here, they also use the language of the virtually indistinguishable, which mirrors the federal statutes on this stuff. So unless these people are making this bill, unless they turn around and say, oh, we're actually going to make another amendment and get rid of all this. Unless they say that, nothing really changed. They just added a new section for AI, and they're going to use these standards to deal with it because it's already in the statute. So they've given no indication that they're going to alter this or remove it in any sort of a way. So what Dexerto is doing is just fear-mongering based on very little research. I mean, it's literally like in their sources. So either they didn't actually read through it themselves or they're lying to you for clicks. I believe either, to be honest with you, when it comes to Dexerto. But let's just say the crazy thing happens and they come out and they do chop all this down and make some additional amendments that do end up having the interpretation that Dexerto has made. Well, it probably wouldn't matter too much because the first person to challenge this would probably win because it doesn't line up with federal codes that were made just for this sort of thing. This is the relevant federal code here, and you can see if you scroll down, they talk about this exact thing, okay? This exact thing. Identifiable minor, again, is something that they require here. And it says, it's a visual depiction, someone who is recognizable as an actual person by the person's face, likeness, or other distinguishing characteristic, such as a unique birthmark or other recognizable feature. Does that sound familiar? Oh, it is, because it's the exact language they use in the statute that we're talking about. And again, they also make it very clear here that the generated image is indistinguishable from that of a minor engaging in this explicit conduct. Okay? I think it's very obvious that this is mirrored in the Texas statute, and now there's a simple amendment adding some language about AI. That's all that happened. And honestly, it might be a little sloppily written, but what we're reading wasn't just the actual statute itself. What was reported here by Dexerto, what we're looking at right here, is a report. It's not the final version. It's not the actual statute itself. It's a report. This whole thing is so crazy. People went absolutely nuts. Millions of people out there probably now believe this is happening. I hope there's like a community note or something that will be introduced to this tweet because it's so misleading. I think this whole situation is pretty easy to understand if you look at it for more than 2 seconds. If you actually look at the statute that's being amended in the first place. But Dexerto didn't do that, and it's not too surprising. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I hope I clarified some things for you guys. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comments section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.